Okay, so I'm sure this guy is fishing for angry reactions, so I'm not going to give that to him, and I'm just going to calmly respond to each of the points. Um, and I'll just leave it there. Let's just jump into it. When an unbeliever tells you, I don't need your God, here's what they're really saying.
When an unbeliever tells you, I don't need your God, here's what they're really saying. I don't need your God.
I'm searching for the truth. That's called science, my friend. It's just called science. Science is the way we engage in observable reality. It's how we know what is real. If you want some deeper philosophical meaning, go read a philosophical book. Go read 15 philosophical books, and you'll get 16 different answers.
I don't need your God.
Prove to me that God exists. That's a good point, bud. That's a good point. If you claim that a God exists, and that it's the Christian God, and that God cares about me, and that I should care about that God, and that I should worship that God, I'm gonna ask you for a little bit of evidence. Not just a little bit. You've made an extraordinary claim. You require extraordinary evidence. If you say that a God exists, point a telescope at him. Let us observe him. Let us measure him, weigh him. Let me count the nose hairs he has in his left nostril. I want to know that he exists. Scientists say that Jupiter exists, and they can point a telescope at Jupiter. They can show me all the data that I don't know how to read, that Jupiter exists. If I wanted, I could go into astronomy and I could learn all the things I could possibly want to learn about Jupiter. We know that Jupiter exists. We know that Pluto exists. We can measure them. We can weigh them. We can read them. We know that gravity exists. We can measure gravity. We can weigh the air. We know that the air exists. We can feel it brush against our cheek. Prove to me that your God exists. If you want me to believe in something, prove he exists. Not only that, you got a taller order than that. Not only do you have to prove that a God exists, you have to prove that it's your God. And then you have to prove or make an argument as to why I should care.
I don't need your God.
I'm missing what you have. This is the most pretentious part of the video. The most head up his own ass section of the video. The problem with it is that it's utterly non-falsifiable. It's utterly non-falsifiable. The only person who thinks this is him. He's let me put it this way. A lot of Christian culture, right, is about hating video games, hating rap music, hating heavy metal music, hating rock music, they hate dyed hair, they hate leather clothing, they hate, like biker motorcycle gangs. They hate partying, they hate, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They hate all of it. And they constantly tell themselves this exact thing, like, oh, you must not actually be enjoying yourselves, because while it looks like you're having fun, I have to convince myself that you're not actually having fun and that I'm better without those things. And it creates a bit of a cognitive dissonance in them, They're telling themselves that sex, drugs, and rock and roll really can't be as fun as it definitely looks like it is. And so they convince themselves, they tell themselves, I'm missing what you have. You have something that Christians have, something special that we're all actually wanting for. Because the idea that people like me, atheists, or just people who don't believe in the Christian God, are living happy, fulfilled lives, independent of whatever the hell they've got, or even critical of what they've got, is terrifying to them. It undermines their entire belief, their entire arrogance.
I don't need your God.
Please, I'm empty. Again, see, The only person who thinks this is him. And that's it. That's it. He's the only person who thinks this. I'm not empty inside. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I have friends. I go for a walk outside. I touch grass. I live a fairly happy and fulfilled life. But if you ask this guy, he'd say that I'm lying because I don't actually have God. That's his only evidence. No, hush, not right now. I'm recording. Let's finish this quickly. They're going to call me back.
I don't need your
What
God.
is the purpose of life? Pick up a philosophy book. That's what the purpose of life is. The purpose of life, to make more of itself, to keep living. You know, if you want to get more philosophical than that, man, try hedonism. You know, find your happiness. Maybe that's working at a food bank and you like helping people. Awesome. Maybe it's engaging in sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Cool. Don't get yourself hurt. Maybe you're an exquisite painter, or you like writing for fun, or maybe you like collecting cool rocks. Do what makes you happy, my guy. Live a happy and fulfilled life. Why deny yourself rock music? Why deny yourself cool dyed hair, or sick tattoos, or an extra slice of cake? Now, I'm not saying, you take every drug all at once, all the time. I'm not saying that you blow your eardrums out with the loudest party music you can find. I'm not saying you eat every slice of cake you ever come across all the time. But, it's not a bad thing to be happy. It's not a bad thing to enjoy yourself. But many Christians believe that is kind of a bad thing. That if you go out and you enjoy yourself, if you're happy, independent of their God, that's somehow a sin. So they have to tell themselves these narratives that really you can't actually be happy, independent of their God. And they insist upon that. They've arrived at the conclusion, irregardless of evidence. All right, that's the end of the video. I have a phone call to make.